Activity on chapters 8 and 9, costs in the short run and long run. Consider the short run and long run cost schedules, Table 1 and Table 2, of perfectly competitive firms of AstraZeneca and Moderna, respectively, both manufacturer of Albir, short for vaccine for all viruses. So the task number 1 is fill in the missing cells in the two tables. The Table 1 short run cost schedule of AstraZeneca. So here's the computation. To compute for the fixed cost will be 10. So the total cost will be fixed cost plus variable cost. The average total cost will be total cost divided by the quantity. So 90 divided by 10 is equals to 9, and the rest goes on. Then, to compute for the marginal cost, the MC, it is divided by the change of total cost, 110 minus 90, by the change in quantity of 20 minus 10. So, it's equals to, and the rest will. Task number 2, graph the data in Table 1 simultaneously in one quadrant. So, for example, quantity at the horizontal axis and the rest of the cost on vertical axis. So, here's the graph of Table 1. Task number 3, describe the behavior of the cost based on your graph in number 2. So, the average total cost decreases initially. It remains the same at a point for a while and then go on increasing as output increases. So, the marginal cost decreases initially but but then increases as the output is increased. When the average cost is minimum, marginal cost is equal to the average cost. Number 2, long run cost schedule of Moderna. So here's the computation. To compute for the total cost, so the total cost is equals to the W, 15, times labor, 30, plus or 30 times capital, which is 21. And the total will be 1,080, and the rest will goes on. So, to compute for the long run average cost or LAC is total cost divided by the output, 1,080 divided by 300 equals to 3.60, and the rest will goes on. And to compute the long run marginal cost, LMC is dividing the change total cost, which is 1,260 minus 1,080 divided by 600 minus 300. So, and by the change in output is equals to 0.60, and the computation goes on. Task number 4, graph the data in Table 2 simultaneously in one quadrant. For example, output at the horizontal axis and the rest of the cost on vertical axis. So here is the graph of Table 2, which is the figure 2 long run cost schedule of Moderna. Task number 5, describe the behavior of the cost based on your graph in number 4. So, my interpretation is that the cost first increased at a decreasing in the figure and an increasing rate thereafter. Since the slope of the total cost curve measures the marginal cost, the implication is that the long-run marginal cost first decreases and then increases. It may be added that all implicit costs of production are included in the LRTC curve. So, they have essentially the same shape and relation to each other as in the short run. So, the long-run average cost first declines, reaches a minimum, then increases. So the long-run marginal cost first declines, reaches a minimum at a lower output than that associated with the minimum average cost and increases thereafter. Task number 6. So using your graph for table 1 and table 2, compare and contrast if any between TC, ATC, and FC of AstraZeneca and their counterparts cost in Moderna. So my short answer for this is that the graph for table 1 and table 2 are increases at the same time, which shows a positive slope and directly related to each other. So they have essentially the same shape in relation to each other. So it also shows the relationship how a firm's long-run average costs are influenced by different short-run average costs of the SRAC curves. Task number 7, discuss the merits of the statement in the long run all costs are variable. So for me, from what I understand, firms should not pay fixed costs in the long run. In the long term, all of the company's expenses are variable. So this is because there are no fixed inputs in the long run, which means that all inputs are variable, and as a result, all input costs are variable. However, since all the variables are unpredictable in the long run, the firm should extend the use of all of its output factors in its long-term planning. So the company considers not only all the variables, but all the costs to be variable. So in the long term, there will be no fixed expenses. Since all expenses are variable, the long-term cost structure varies from the short-term cost structure.